Hello, welcome to Summer Patriot, where we fight for conservative values and show how to fight the good fight. On the last video, I attempted to give a more technical view of what conservatism is. Well, the basic gist is that although most people would describe conservatism as just sticking to the old way of things, I believe that at the core of conservatism is a pragmatic, result-driven adherence to what works and an inflexibility to change just for change's sake. This may still be a little vague for some people, but on this channel, I want to get away from the specifics of the day, which can lead us into pointless arguments over, minute nuances. I instead want to focus on the fundamental differences that are at work, the macro differences that we can kind of understand why we think the way we think. And if you're someone who, has a lot of preconceived ideas about what conservatism is, this is to set it straight, to make you really understand where we're coming from. We can disagree, but why we think the way that we think. So to me, and to many others, conservatism is a world view. It is a way of looking at the world. It's a lens by which we judge the world. It's neither good nor bad, in a sense. And I would think it's good, because that's the way I look at it. But it's more than simply a political ideology, right, that you're indoctrinated into. It's not this radicalization, right? And it definitely can be learned. I think a famous quote, this is often attributed to the British Prime Minister, was that when you are young, you are liberal, and when you get older, you are conservative, which means that if you are a young person who is a conservative, you have no heart. And if you're a liberal when you're older, you have no brain, which is this idea that, economically, it makes sense as you're older to become more conservative because you start to know what makes sense. And when you're younger, a lot of the issues that is brought up from a liberal perspective is always about helping people and things aren't fair and other certain issues. And it's appealing to someone who hasn't hit the workforce yet, who hasn't been hit with some of the issues, and say, hey, it's not fair that there's a wage gap. There's not fair that these things are happening, while conservatism is more pragmatic, that we expect difficulties in life. We expect that we cannot legislate or dictate human nature, that people who are racist are going to act in racist ways. People who are selfish are going to act in selfish ways. I would think it's more close to a biblical worldview, where we consider that people are born sinners, which means that I expect you to act in ways that are not good in certain times, and also to act in ways that are good. That I also expect people to act in ways that are against their best interest. So let's try to get it even more simpler, right? So conservatism is an affinity. It is something that a way of looking at things that sometimes it's so natural that you don't even know that you're doing it, right? And I would say to make the same argument for liberalism. So I felt that the best way to kind of discuss this would be to use an analogy to give you a view. And some of you are going to listen to what I'm saying here and immediately think in a liberal way. And some of you are going to listen to this and immediately think in a conservative way. And some of you are going to think of it more of a libertarian way. And the nuances and differences are not meant to simplify these different groups, but to just kind of highlight it, to give you this aha moment. So here we go. This is my analogy. So let's say you have a statistic that says that that only 9 unarmed men were shot by the police in 2021. This stat would elicit several different reactions, and it may be surprising to you to know that. So from a conservative viewpoint, if we heard that there were 9 unarmed Black men that were shot in 2021, we wouldn't necessarily be outraged. It wouldn't be something that put us up in arms. It wouldn't be something that would require us to go into the streets and protest and be completely insanely upset about it. We would say, from a pragmatic sense, that, wow, society has come a long way. Think about it. in a country of 300 million people with thousands of interactions daily with the police over 365 days, maybe a millions of interactions between criminals, normal citizens, stop traffic stop sub, and all these different circumstances, to the fact that the death toll is so small is actually a testament to societal growth. It is something that we should be applauding. We should be thinking, wow, a lot of what we've been doing is successful. It seems like racism is not an issue. It seems like it's gotten to a point of statistical anomaly. Like, it's not the norm that Black people are being shot down every single day. Now, from the liberal perspective, the normal reaction that seems to be arising, I don't know if that's normal, I can only speak about how I view these things. It's an evidence of continued systemic racism. It's an indication that there are racist cops out there, and that this is something that the police force is allowing, and that it's only being allowed because, you know, of an institution that promotes this kind of violence. It would lead you to think we need to have more training. Hey, why is even one Black man killed? Why are we so racist that any unarmed? There should be no reason why anyone who's unarmed should ever be killed. And that's the cops need to be retrained. We need to defund the police. This is just proof of racism existing, right? I've also heard people say that this is a grave injustice if any of this ever occurs. Now, that's an idealistic way of looking at things, that there's some way that we can legislate through police, through government, through laws, through just force of will, and then we're going to reach a point in society where no unarmed people will be shot, and that there will be no disparity between income levels between men and women, between Black and white, where everything was be egalitarian and equal. Well, I think that doesn't make sense if we view the world that injustices are going to happen. I do not believe that a overarching federal government made up of people are going to make this world possible, right? And a liberal argument would be like, well, don't you want a world like this? Sure, great. I think I want a world with maximum freedom. But until Jesus comes back and all the hearts of men are changed, there are going to be people who commit crimes. There are going to be people who are racist, who are homophobic, who are all these different isms. And that you telling them it's bad, you re-educating them, you making it a place where it's uncomfortable for them does not stop them from being that way inside. So you may be listening to this and getting very upset because I'm belittling the struggles of between Black and white. And I'm just telling you that out of millions of interactions, if there are 9 deaths, those 9 deaths do matter. But do you systemically change society and accuse thousands upon thousands of cops of being racist? Can assume that every single day there's this massive attempt by the police force to only attack Black people. Okay, you can show me other information, but from a conservative view, these numbers to me are expected. And of those 9 unarmed, I'm not a psychologist to know what the core reasoning. I need to know the facts. I need to know the details. I need to know what. In many instances, when I hear of a shooting between a police officer and a civilian, my natural bent is to wait to see what the facts of the cases are. I don't assume racism or all these different things. I say, okay, let me see what the facts are in this case. Wow, this seems, like a bad situation. This seems something that needs to be rectified legally. I am not able to judge the intention of the officer or the intention of the person that was shot until I get the evidence. And I think it's just a different way of viewing the world. And I think there is a place for a liberal mind view, because there is a sense in which that we should be constantly trying to make things better. But I also think that change just for change's sake is its own worst enemy. So we're going to continue to have discussions like this. Hopefully you can write in the comments and tell me to elaborate more. But I think it's important for us to really understand why we see these things in a different way. I obviously am fighting for us to become more conservative, more pragmatic, to recognize that America as founded is one of the greatest country, that the idea, I think Abraham Lincoln, which is one of the videos that I read from, is that this experiment of a country by the people, for the people, is a grand experiment. And the fact that we can argue about these things, the fact that we can have these different views and ideas is a testament to the country that we're in. And I know it's in vogue to hate America and to hate all the things that are involved. And I know there's so many evils and ills in this world, but I would challenge you to show me another country or another culture or historically a place that has given us more freedoms, more opportunities, more growth, more of economic things, and to argue that because there was difficult times, that means it's thing. I would argue, what is perfection? What is the perfect environment? And if it's something that has not been done yet, start your own country, buy an island. You know, the American experiment also even allows you within the states that you want to do these things. California is able to do all of these things that I disagree with. Show me through the success this strident. But from my understanding, they still have shootings, they still have gun violence, they still have all these different things, even though they're carrying out all these laws. Why is it that the success of these things are only perpetrated once every nation or every state follows it? Prove it within the state that you're in. Prove it within your local locality. Stop trying to change things first and let's see how it happens. I would like you to prove demonstratively. And one last thing, to say that you need to follow the science. Science is something that is experiment that leads to theory, which leads to fact or law. It is not something that you can assert. It's not something that's done by consensus. It's not something that you can just have 900 science over here. And no, you have to demonstratively prove it. And unfortunately, I, being of sound mind and being in a free country, can question anything I want at any time. And I value that freedom, and I allow you to have that freedom. And that is a conservative idea.